In tonight's Government Insider, taking climate change cues from the private sector. The UN Climate Conference in Paris will be wrapping up on Friday. After 2 weeks of negotiations between more than 150 countries, world leaders hope to come away with an international accord to fight global warming. A recent forum might yield some insight into key challenges and opportunities here in the U.S. For more, I'm joined by Alfredo Gomez, Director of Natural Resources and Environmental Issues at the Government Accountability Office. Alfredo, you convened this forum in July. What were you hoping to accomplish?
GAO holds forums as a way to bring thought leaders together, to get their input, but also to better understand policy issues. What we did in this case is we brought together leaders from the private sector to share with us how climate-related risks that they face, but also the actions that they're taking to help protect against damages. So protecting against future damages is what we call building resilience. We also brought together local and federal government leaders and subject matter experts to be part of the dialogue.
For businesses managing climate-related risk, that's a big motivator. Tell us more.
Sure. So what we learned from the private sector participants was that they face climate-related risks in 3 areas. For example, risks to their operations, to their supply lines, and to their infrastructure. We also learned that businesses are taking actions to deal with those risks. For example, businesses have added scientists to their staff to help them research and identify climate-related risks. In another example, a private participant told us that what they've done is they've mapped out their supply lines to identify their suppliers, their locations, but also to look at how those locations may be vulnerable under different climate scenarios. Another participant told us that what they've done is they've increased the height of their infrastructure to make it stronger so that it's more resilient.
Alfredo, according to your report, several participants said they have a hard time finding sufficient data. Why is that? Does the politically charged atmosphere around climate change have anything to do with it?
We did hear from the participants that they have difficulty finding reliable data. They said that especially data that is at a local level, that is usable for them. Companies rely and use site-specific data, for example, to get a better understanding of the risks that they face. We also learned from the federal government participants is that there is data available, but that they need to do a better job to make that data accessible so that people know that it exists, and also to help them translate the data so that it's usable, not just for local and state, but also for private sector decision makers.
What does the GAO see as the key challenges to building resilience?
Sure. So as I noted, one of the challenges that we've heard about is that companies do face challenges in identifying climate-related risks and also the actions to build resilience. But another area is that they need technical assistance from the federal government and also tools that can help them build resilience.
Before you go, Alfredo, I'd like to touch on how climate change could challenge federal government. Give us the Cliff's Notes.
So the federal government also faces similar challenges to the private sector. We've issued a number of reports where we lay out different areas where the federal government faces fiscal exposure. So for example, the federal government is the owner and operator of hundreds of thousands of facilities across the country, some of those facilities being vulnerable to climate-related risks. The federal government is also the provider of insurance, for example, through the National Flood Insurance Program and the Crop Insurance Program. And those are areas where the federal government faces increasing fiscal exposures.
All good points. Alfredo Gomez with the GAO. Thanks again.
Thank you for having me.